All right, some real politics now and some headlines thought you ought to know about it. Let's start local. Long Island Congressman Peter King. He's stepping down as chairman of the Homeland Security Committee, and he's not doing it by choice. It's a move that could cost Long Island when it comes to federal funding. So you say, well, why is he giving up the post or he worked so hard to get it? It's because Republicans have self-imposed 6-year term limits on how long their members, or any members for that matter, actually can hold on top spot on any congressional committee, actually within their own party. TJ, term limits, great idea or not, but at the same time, New York will lose out of this. Yeah. And for something like Homeland Security, which takes a lot of time to master the nuances of it, and we're talking about national security, is it in America's best interest a guy gets kicked to the curb because he's been there for 6 years?
I think, well, you know what? I mean, kicked to the curb is one way to look at it. I like to look at it as Republicans following rules. Look, it's not. I think this is unfortunately this time it doesn't work out for the best. He's done a good job. He's a guy that's known to be pretty cool in terms of dealing with the other side. I think recently he's been one of the people talking about it. You know, I'm willing to talk about raising taxes.
So the rules more important than Homeland Security.
No, I'm saying this is one of those times that we're going to get stuck by a good rule.
All right. We agree to disagree. It's a good time, though, to be Chris Christie, New Jersey governor, well, rewarded for his work in Hurricane Katrina. When you take a look at a new poll, 67% of Garden Staters give him high marks here. That in the latest Rutgers-Eagleton poll. And he leads his most worrisome potential challenger, Newark Mayor Cory Booker, by 19 points in a head-to-head matchup. Christie says he will run for re-election in 2013. He announced that this week. And Dominic, he's going to be tough to beat, won't he?
You know, I never thought I would say this, Richard, but you were right on this guy. As of this poll, as of right now, Chris Christie is running strong. Mayor Booker, you better think twice about this. I mean, you can't. I'm not saying that he can't cut that lead, but Obama and Christie together, it was one of the smartest things that Governor Christie ever did.
Don't you think the only way he gets really hurt is if in 12 months things don't look a lot better in New Jersey on the ground?
Well,
no, but even physically, if there's still the after effects of Sandy are really bad.
Yes, I agree, but also in a head-to-head matchup, things will change.
But they won't. Okay. He gets things done. They won't look bad.
All right, now Andrew, this one I think fascinating, and we go to Florida for it. Former Governor Charlie Crist and a former state Republican chairman, they admitted to a local paper this weekend that all the talk of stamping out voter fraud was a fraud all its own. The real goal, they both acknowledged here, again, Charlie Crist, Republican governor, to help Republicans win elections. That was the whole thing about, insisting on voter ID, reducing early voting, purging voter rolls. They weren't about voter integrity. It was all designed to keep Democratic voters away from the polls, making for smoother sailing for Republican candidates. Many people may have suspected it, but how important it is that they put it on paper.
I'm shocked to find out there's gambling going on here, Rich. I think this is the worst kept secret in politics this year. I mean, we heard tape of a guy in Pennsylvania admit that the voter ID in Pennsylvania was designed to do that as well. And as it turned out, voter ID actually hurt Republicans because it seemed to encourage Democratic turnout. People who were so appalled that they were trying to take the
poll tax, a modern day poll tax. Right?
I think it is important that this is on the record because this will be tried again in 2014 and 2016, and it could actually seriously alter the vote going forward.
All right. Now, finally, for me, this is a story where perception and reality, especially in politics, sometimes get conflated. But this story, I want you to digest for a second. We all know about Israel's so-called Iron Dome here. It's that anti-missile shield that's universally credited with saving a lot of lives here and limiting the damage in the recent fighting with Hamas in Gaza. Turns out this shield that knocked down the vast majority of the rockets that were fired into Israeli territory almost never came to be. The Pentagon, you heard me right, the Pentagon opposed helping to fund the dome, thinking it was doomed to fail, and they wanted Israel to use a cheaper American system instead of it. So, who secured the $275 million needed to get the dome up and running? President Obama. Now, you're never going to hear the story, but of all places, it was a cover story of the Wall Street Journal this week. It turned out that a one-star general in Israel who came up against resistance from his own parliament over the plan, went directly to the White House, and then over the objections over the Pentagon, The president said, I'll put you $280 million towards the project. It came to be. Everybody now wants to take credit for it, but you know there would have been major ground incursions into Gaza. If there was no dome and the rockets were raining down here, this thing would have been a lot bloodier than it already was, and you would have had troops on the ground, kidnappings, all the things that go into the hand-to-hand fighting. So the next time everybody says the president is not a friend of Israel over this, just remember the Iron Dome. All right, we take a quick break, but when we come back, we break down the price tag of Superstorm Sandy. Please stay with us.